We up?
Not yet. It's setting it up.
Let me know when we're good, man.
We're good.
We're up?
That's what it says.
Oh, hell yeah. We are live. Yeah, I see it. All right. We're good to go. We'll get started in a minute.
Share that link. Share that
I did
link.
share the link.
Oh, you did.
Hold on. I'll share the specific one for you. Let's see if I can pull it up. Season 2, episode 1. Copy. All right. We're shared. Feels good. You ready to go?
Not yet.
Mark, it's 8:02. Come on, man. Actually, 8 o'clock on the nose. Never mind.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. You tell me when you're ready. I'm ready to roll.
Hang on. I'm sending it to a couple people.
All right. Let's go, Burke.
All right. Let me hit
You
record.
good?
Let me just hit record. Let's roll.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Chalk Talk podcast. Round of applause for us coming back. We've missed you. Sorry it's been so long. A lot has happened. I still have not painted my basement walls. The summer is hot as ever. My pool has a leak, but we are back. And the Chalk Talk podcast is back on the air for season 2. Joined as always by resident Packers fan, still resident Packers fan, Michael Burke. College football aficionado, Michael Burke. Blackjack enthusiast, Michael Burke. And of course, I'm your host, Ken Doolittle. All of the above except resident Packers fan. What's going on? How's the summer?
It's been a hot one. I've been busy playing a lot of golf, working out, working hard, but we are almost, I hope we're almost through the dog days. Football's right around the corner. Training camps are getting started across the country for the NFL.
It feels good, doesn't it?
You can smell the fall in the air. We are ready to rock and roll, and that's why we wanted to get a jump start on this season in July to get you guys ready to go on a couple of bets, a couple of ideas, a couple of predictions that me and you have been discussing on the side that we want to hopefully give to you guys today so we can profit and make some money come January, February 2023.
Yeah, let's do it. This was a great time for us to pick back up, give you a little inside scoop. We got tons to talk about today. We're going to talk about a recap of the NBA season. We're going to talk about upcoming NFL and college football seasons. We're going to talk a little blackjack as always, because we just hit a successful trip to Mohegan Sun Casino this weekend. But first, I thought we'd start with a cool little segment called Summer Awards. So we've been gone a while. A lot has happened. This is like a real dead time for sports. Baseball's going on, but that's kind of even the dog days of that. So we're going to start with some summer awards, kind of combining a little sports and pop culture to get everybody back in the Chalk Talks feel here for season 2. So we're going to start with our first award, Best Moment of the Summer. We both went the same route here. So this could have been like literally anything that occurred this summer. It could have been a sporting event. It could have been a television show. It could have been anything that the general public would be aware of. My moment of the summer is one word on the agenda, Vecna. Vecna was the moment of the summer for me. Everything about Vecna, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's from Stranger Things, kind of consumed us. I'm talking me and my wife and you even for 2 months of this summer. It was fantastic.
It was
specifically
for me. It was mostly about 2.5 weeks where I blitzed the show. Because I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it before, and it literally for about 2 straight weeks. I was up till 1, 2, 3 in the morning trying to catch up to get before Volume 2 came out for season 4, just so I could get on pace with everybody. And I'm glad I did.
That was commitment for you. You stayed up. You were texting me pretty late a lot of nights. You were finishing. So my specific moment of the summer is something that I want framed in my house. I want Halloween decorations of this. When Max goes up in the air and everybody is laying on the ground looking at her and the tombstones in the background. That is by far my moment of the summer. One of the best episodes of television I've ever watched. I'm going to get into my top 5 television episodes because this kind of spurred me. So we're going to give our top 5 episodes of like all time right after this. But you want a similar route for your moment of the summer. What do you got?
I'm also following the same route with Stranger Things here, but a character that we got introduced in season 4, Eddie Munson, wasn't really too sure when they first introduced him in episode 1. Just a little strange, little off the cuff, but he became a fan favorite relatively quickly. And obviously his closing act, so to speak, his monstrous Master of Puppets guitar solo to lure Vecna out of the mind layer. So the rest of the team can sneak in and hopefully take him down. That guitar solo will go down in history as one of the best TV moments of all time, in my personal opinion. And I really enjoyed it.
I love it. Yeah. So some great episodes of TV. Both of our moments of the summer are probably within like 3 hours of television of each other from start to finish. So like, what a great stretch of episodes, which got me thinking of my top 5 episodes of television of all time. This spans a couple genres. I did think hard about this list, so there may be something I forgot. And of course, this is a personal list. So like, I've never watched shows like Game of Thrones or something. I'm sure there's some great episodes of TV in there. In no particular order, that one I just talked about from Stranger Things, where Max goes up in the air, is one of them. The episode Ozymandias from Breaking Bad. You were a Breaking Bad guy, right?
I am, but I've actually never finished the series.
Oh my goodness, you're kidding me!
I've gotten
That's embarrassing. You got to go back to watch that.
I've gotten through seasons 1 and 2, and then once I got to season 3, I don't know what happened, but just probably some.
Well, season 5 is fantastic.
I've actually never seen it, but I've heard good things from you about the whole series. So maybe next on my list.
I won't spoil it. So it's the 3rd episode from the end. Absolutely fantastic hour of television. The episode of The Office called Dinner Party. I'm sure we're all familiar with that one. That is comedy gold from start to finish. There's not a dull moment of television throughout that whole episode because they wrote it right after a writer's strike. So they had literally just mountains of material and it was all jam-packed. A brilliant episode of comedy. The finale to Dexter season 5. You a Dexter guy?
I have seen Dexter through season 6.
Right. So season 5.
I personally like season 4 the best out of all of them. I think that's probably my favorite. But season 5 also has some great moments.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then 5th on my list is the episode of Squid Game, the cult classic from last year. I don't know. Did you watch Squid Game?
I have not seen it.
I would highly recommend Squid Game. The episode where they're playing marbles is like, it like throws you. It threw me off my routine for like a couple of days. It's like really, really heavy. So that was a good episode. So those are my top 5 TV episodes of all time. There's some other ones, some honorable mentions. One where Rick and Morty, where they die and come to replace themselves from a different universe, is like real effed up. Breaking Bad finale is another good one. And of course, the episode of Parks and Rec, I forget the name of it, when they are walking out on the ice skating rink and they don't have enough carpet, so they're all slipping and falling all over the place. Great episodes of television. Leave it in the comments if you have anything else. But that's our moment of the summer, both from Stranger Things. Burke has another honorable mention. I'm sorry.
I do have an honorable mention. This is actually not related to a TV show or a fictional TV show.
It's for moment of the summer.
It is from the 4th of July weekend. Every year they do the Nathan's hot dog eating contest at Coney Island. And Joey Chestnut for the last 14, 15 years has been a unstoppable force and just unbeatable, about as good as you can get at your craft. Arguably the best to ever do it. Up there with Dr. Dre and a couple other people, maybe Michael Jordan, maybe LeBron James. I don't know. But this year was a little bit different where mid hot dog eating, so mid round, probably late in the round, there was a random protester that rushed the stage and not really sure what he was protesting. I can't really remember, but the images that everybody does remember is Joey Chestnut swallowing 2 hot dogs, trying to close out the round, puts this guy in a chokehold, basically throws him onto the ground, and then security just takes him away. So this guy defending America's honor while just munching down on hot dogs, defending his crown, I think is one of those epic moments in American history that will last forever.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I caught it, and you don't know really what's going on at the time. I have a controversial take about Joey Chestnut. He has ruined the hot dog eating contest because not only is it a guarantee that he wins, I don't think anybody actually wants to compete in the hot dog contest anymore because they know they're not going to win. We're missing out on all this talent that could be coming up from all these prime hot dog eaters. They just go somewhere else. They go to another eating contest. Joey Chestnut.
Well, unfortunately, people understand the level that they have to get to win something. And over the last 15 years, nobody has been able to get to Joey Chestnut's level. So I'm actually
Kobayashi beat him once.
Kobayashi has become a no-name since Joey Chestnut.
He beat him once, though. He did beat him.
Yeah, and then he got into all these issues, and nobody's seen or heard from him for a very long time. I'm not sure what the issue is there. Don't want to.
There's a funny. We're spending way too much time in the hot dog eating contest, but there's a funny chart that I saw that shows the average, like the number of hot dogs per minute from like 1990 or whenever this started all the way through now, and the first like 11 years, it's very low. It's like 30, 35, 36. And then 1 year, whatever Kobayashi started, like 01 or something, it goes from like 30 to like 100 or something like insane.
It's like it went from
because
like 30
he
to 50.
specifically changed how people eat hot dogs. He was dipping them in the water, going two hands at once. I don't think anything other than the 3-point line and the forward pass has been as influential as that Kobayashi hot dog eating technique. I'll have to find the chart. I'll share it on Twitter.
Joey Chestnut has basically taken it to an unbreakable level. And you start to talk about unbreakable records in sports like Joe DiMaggio's 56 game pitch streak.
Chestnut. How many hot dogs could you eat in 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes? Depending on how hungry I am, I could probably, in 10 minutes, if I'm trying, 10, maybe one a minute.
You think only 10? I think I could get a solid 15 or 16 maybe.
I think it's harder than we all think it is. Chestnut makes it look very easy. I think after like 5 or 6, you're probably going to hit this massive wall. And obviously if you throw up, you're just disqualified. So
see, I think they gotta kill the water. I think the water dipping should be illegal. Cause where do you draw the line? Like, can the guy just like mush him up in his hands with like a pestle and like make him like a smoothie? Like, I think it's too much. I think you got to eat them all dry, no water. I think that makes the contest a little harder. I don't know.
I would say so, but it's cool to see somebody eat 75 hot dogs in 10 minutes. I will not be competing in that contest anytime soon.
Yeah, neither will I. All right, so let's move on to our second award. This one's called Best Summer Character. So much like a TV show has their favorite character, we both picked our favorite character from the sports world for summer. You want to take the lead on this one with your character? Because I like your pick.
Yeah, so mine's kind of little. He's not like the Federer, Nadal aspect of things, but this guy has kind of got his own creative way of playing tennis. He's very flashy. He's very he yells at his coach's box when something doesn't go right. And this year he got to the Wimbledon final. Credit that Nadal probably would have beat him if he had been healthy and didn't have to withdraw from the semifinal, because Nadal was playing some great tennis too. And honestly, Kyrgios getting to the final, he did win the first set against Djokovic in that final. He plays drop shots. He does those underhand serves. He goes between the legs. He's not afraid to like challenge things and make mistakes, but to see somebody like that, just like in a championship setting, just flat out screaming at his coach's box and then getting caught on camera, yelling at the umpire to like kick the one lady who was in the stands out, who looked like she had about 1 million beers, was one of the funniest clips I've heard in a very long time in a big championship setting. And when you think of Wimbledon,
well, I was just going to say, it's more wild because it's at Wimbledon, right?
And this guy's kind of just breaking the realms. And I hope he gets back to another major championship. I think the US Open would be a perfect place for him, just because it's a little more rowdy, a little more intense. And I think the crowd could definitely feed off him, just like he could feed off them and bring him to that title. And especially with Djokovic, I can't believe I'm talking this much about tennis, but with Djokovic's COVID-19 vaccination status in question, he might not be able to play. If Nadal's not around because he's still hurt and recovering, that field is wide open and Kyrgios can make a run at the title. I mean, I don't want to put words in either of our mouths, but he may be the one bet to take for the U.S. Open if we're looking to.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at the odds yet. I'll have to check it out, but he's an interesting play because he's a really good talent. He reminds me in a skill to effort level of Gael Monfils. I don't know if you ever watched him a couple of years back, but he was a fantastic tennis player, just limited effort. He would lose one game and it would just spiral into like the next 10. He'd be, hitting shots left-handed and stuff. But yeah, Kyrgios at the US Open is an interesting one because you see that stuff all the time at the Open. He's tennis needs a little villain, right? So I think he's all right to play that role. So I like your pick. Definitely a character of the summer. Can't believe he almost won Wimbledon. He'll probably be around for a little bit. I went a different direction with my character of the summer. I went to a sports personality, not necessarily a sports athlete. My character of the summer, Brian Windhorst. For those of you that aren't familiar with what Brian Windhorst did this, so do you know where I'm going with this, or am I gonna? Is this gonna be a surprise?
You're gonna reference the meme that blew up Twitter.
Oh, of course. So that originates. Brian Windhorst is an NBA analyst who essentially got his job because they trusted him to break the LeBron news in 2010, which he did not do, and then did not break the LeBron news when he went back to Cleveland, and did not break the LeBron news when he went to LA. So Brian, I'm sorry if you're watching, but that was literally your only job. He goes on First Take, and First Take is a debate show, and Stephen A was not there. Molly, the host, was not there. And the fill-in, was, I don't remember who it was, but it was nobody of terrible importance. So Windhorst goes on this 2-minute long rant. And if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. It's fantastic sports content. And it sounds like he knows that Rudy Gobert is going to be traded to the Wolves, but he can't say it. And so he spends 2 minutes talking about literally nothing other than like he thinks something's up with the Jazz. It's a fantastic piece of television. And the meme that Burke is referencing is a picture of him with both fingers in the air like this, pointing. And the context of that is what he says during that is, now, why would they do that? Or now, why would that happen? Right. So it's a meme of like, Burke, puts $100 on the blackjack table. Now, why would he do that? Because he wants to win money, because he's chasing losses. It's when he puts those fingers out, it is a level that the top of the top actors cannot get to. He channels something within him to make this like Emmy-winning, Oscar-winning performance. It's fantastic. Brian Windhorst is my character of the summer. Have you seen that rant?
I actually haven't seen the rant.
You got to watch it after we hang up.
I've just seen the meme, and the meme is hilarious. I may not even watch the rant, so it doesn't ruin it for me.
The meme in and of itself is incredible. The rant is fantastic as well. So those are our characters of the summer, Windhorst and Kyrgios. Let's get to a best bet of the summer. Our best bet of the summer is whatever we made the most money off of, whatever we felt the most confident in, or just some bets that we remember, right? So my first one is Celtics in the game 3 of the finals. And I don't know if you remember how much I was touting this, but I was like 5, 6, 7 units deep on Celtics to cover the 3.5 in game 3 of the finals. They won by a boatload. Especially in the fourth quarter. I think they won like 122 to 105 or so. It was not close. I felt so confidently about that game, and it felt good for it to finally pay off. They didn't win the series, but game 3 of the finals was my great Celtics bet. You have one from golf.
I do have one from golf, and I can't take full credit from this. This came from our Lehigh gambling crew. A lot of big golfers in there, and we follow the sport relatively closely, probably more than me and you do. But the last major championship that happened a couple weeks ago, the British Open out at St. Andrews, Cam Smith, Australian, never won a major before. A bunch of us were riding him. Weird looking dude, mullet, just a strange cat. Ends up winning the British Open, but we ended up getting him at very good odds to start the tournament. And then we doubled down after he was 4 shots back going into the final round of the leaders, Rory and Victor Hovland. And we, as a group, just rallied together, and this guy catches absolute fire with the putter on the back 9 to finish with a final round 64 in a major, which is basically just going out and taking what's yours. Everybody thought Rory McIlroy, it was his tournament to lose. He didn't technically lose it. Cam Smith went out and won it, and we all profited from it pretty big, pretty substantially. And now all you see is just clips of Cam Smith and his boys just chugging beers out of the claret jug, which is
you love to hit long odds like that, especially with a weekend long tournament. That feels great. Speaking of long odds, we both had another bet that we did in unison just last week, I think last Monday. Mm-hmm. And it was Juan Soto to win the home run derby. You tweeted me a couple dudes that you were placing money on, Soto being the first. I chose to only ride with Soto. He was plus 650 when I got him. I think you got him around the same. And he rolled, man. He won. He came through for us. You were touting Pete Alonso too. I didn't really understand that one, but I figured you watch more baseball than me. I don't know.
Pete was the 2-time defending champ. He was
but there was bad odds on him. Bad odds.
But in a situation where Soto's been the talk of the town, he's the hot commodity coming into this trade deadline. Everybody's talking about him. Who's going to sign him? He had just turned down a ridiculous 15-year, $440 million extension with the Nationals. So this guy just goes out, ends up flying coach because for some reason they couldn't get him first class or a private jet out to the All-Star game, shows up, wins the Derby. We all cash at plus 650. It was a great day.
Beautiful cash.
Predicted the young gun would come back and win this over the 2-time defending champ in the heat of LA at Dodger Stadium. And it was a great night for all of us. And hopefully a foreshadowing of things to come for this fall football season.
So that's some great betting. Long odds for us. A plus 650 hitter is huge. And I was glad that we were both on it. It felt good to get in on the same bet again. So those are our best bets of the summer. We had more. We've been winning money all season, but those are our best ones. And finally, our final summer award, worst look of the summer. This can be a literal look as an outfit. This can be somebody doing something that puts them in a bad light. It can be an organization doing something poor. My worst look of the summer goes to all mainstream sports books, which includes FanDuel, the worst of all of them, which includes DraftKings, the second worst of all of them. And that's probably where I draw the line. And Barstool obviously is in the shitter because Barstool sucks. But the 3 main ones, I'll say those are the 3 main ones. They don't do anything right, man. So this sports betting phenomenon has taken over the world, and it's more popular now, even than it was last year, but especially more than, let's say, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when people started to figure out what words mean. And you had dudes walking around half knowing what parlay means, right? And the mainstream books do some of the dumbest shit. They limit people's bets. Like DraftKings has to review every bet that I place. And I'm not placing $1 million bets, but they've declined me before from making bets.
Well, some would say that's a gambling problem, and they're just they're looking out for your well-being.
I would say they're looking out for their well-being because they'll decline me and then do what FanDuel does is change the odds and let me place a lower amount. So if I'll bet on something, I'll say, it's minus 120. I'll put, $500. They'll review it. And then 10 minutes later, it'll be like, you went over your limit. You could place 250. And now the odds are minus 180. So they do a lot of weird stuff like that. If you're going to start betting, places that I would recommend for you to bet, BetMGM has been a great sports book to me. Unibet has been a great sports book to me. FoxBet has actually been okay because I don't think they're as big yet. But Unibet and MGM are the main ones. They're going to let you place bets. They want winners, as far as I can tell. FanDuel and DraftKings do not want winners. In fact, DraftKings CEO was actually in an interview this summer saying that he does not want winners on the book. He says gambling is for fun, not for profit. If you want to make money, go get a job or go somewhere else. And I say that's fine, but you can't also be the CEO of a betting app and say that, hey, we only want losers on our app. So screw the mainstream sports books. I'm sorry, we'll never get sponsored by them. Maybe BetMGM will pick us up. That's my worst look of the summer. How about you?
I'm taking a little bit different direction on this. I'm going with a full-fledged organization right now, and that's near and dear to both of our hearts. And right now it's the Boston Red Sox. They are an absolute dumpster fire of an organization right now, from the top end management onto the field. They're currently in last place in the AL East. A couple weeks ago, they were in second place. They were securely in that wild card chase, probably held a spot. Now they're behind the Baltimore Orioles, who haven't been relevant since
whose fault this is?
2014.
Our good pal Gleason for going to the game with you.
No, I believe I'm going to take full blame and full responsibility for this, because they had won the night before in the Bronx. They won game one on a wild pitch that Bogart stole home to win 5-4 in extra innings. And then I go out there trying to be the nice guy friend for one of our lifelong pals, about to be groomsman in his wedding in a couple months. I think I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm going into enemy territory here, and I sit in the bleacher creatures section of Yankee Stadium, and Devers hits a home run in the first inning. I'm ripping into everybody, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden the onslaught occurred, lost the game 14-1. I sat through the entire game because nobody wanted to leave, because I was with all Yankee fans. It was it was absolute hell for me. But
brutal.
Since then, they haven't made any adjustments. I mean, they recently just lost a game 28-5 to the Toronto Blue Jays. 28-5. Chris Sale is back on the IL after he took a line drive off his pinky, dislocated it, broke it, whatever it is. He's out indefinitely. After he came all the way back, he was looking great, throwing 96, 97 miles an hour. We thought we were set getting him back in. The organization won't sign or re-sign or look to negotiate with our two best players in Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts. They're probably walking just like letting Mookie Betts go, which was an all-time travesty.
What do you expect after they let potentially the best player in the game?
The problem is you've got a GM who had success with the Tampa Bay Rays on a minimum payroll, and he's trying to run the Boston Red Sox the same way. And they are a big market company. They have the money. Spend it. Get the guys. You have the farm system, or bring the guys up from the farm system and let them play. There's a couple guys down the system that can absolutely ball, and they haven't brought them up yet. And they haven't signed anybody. Their pitching staff's getting older. They're gonna lose Eovaldi at the trade deadline now that they're out of contention, sitting in last place. JD Martinez is good as gone. He's going to get picked up by probably the New York Mets. And after a year after a surprise trip to the ALCS, in our opinions, they were probably a year ahead of schedule. They've declined so much, it's almost embarrassing. And if our pal Gleason is listening to this podcast, I'm surprised he's not. This would be the perfect time for him to come in and just say whatever he wants, because he's got free reign. The guy's on top of the world right now. He's about to get married in a couple months, and we have nothing to fire back at him to keep him in check, which is an absolute problem on our end. We should always have bullets in the saddle to make sure he doesn't go running rampant across Twitter and everything else. But the Red Sox right now, across the board, from a player standpoint to performance on the field to an organization to everything, is my worst look of the summer. And hopefully it's a short-lived issue, and
hopefully it's short-lived.
Stuff out.
We were happy last year. Also, there's no way Gleason is listening to you and me talk.
No, he wouldn't waste his time on us. No,
he wouldn't. No way he would be here. But hey, Gleason, if you're out there, leave something in the chat. So those are our worst looks of the summer. We have some honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is literally every outfit that Trae Young has worn this offseason. That guy can do nothing right on or off the court. The Baltimore Ravens for not paying Lamar Jackson, one of the best QBs in the league, and they haven't paid him a contract yet. And also the Cleveland Browns, on a related note, signing Deshaun Watson. Not the best move that Cleveland has made, but they could make up for it with our next topic. Did you hear that the Pittsburgh Steelers had renamed their stadium?
Yeah, it's disgusting and obscene and just a disgrace to America.
So
with what they're
they're
doing.
yeah, they're no longer Heinz Field, right? And that's one of the most iconic stadium names, I think, in all of professional sports. And it was kind of depressing to watch them. You know, they took the ketchup bottles down, they took the Heinz logo off. And the Browns are actually looking for a stadium sponsor, coincidentally enough. I say
if
they get
take
the Heinz thing.
that would be a slap in the face to all Steelers fans if the Cleveland Browns became Heinz Field or Heinz Stadium or whatever you want it. That would just be.
It would be incredible, right? Or, you know, I don't know if it's better or worse. Maybe they get Hunt's ketchup to sponsor them or something.
Nah, that's definitely worse.
Definitely worse. So I say, why don't the Browns go get out and get the Heinz logo? But anyways, that got me to thinking about the most iconic stadiums in pro sports. So I did this in two categories, and I want you to give your input on. I did most famous sponsored stadiums and most famous just like name branded stadiums, no sponsor. So the sponsors first. Number one, this is in an order. Let's go number 5 first. So number 5, I have TD Garden, Celtics Arena. I think that is a fairly iconic stadium name, stadium location.
Formerly the Boston Garden.
Formerly the Boston Garden. You could throw that
obviously
in there too.
TD had to step in and get their sponsorship in, but they still kept the Garden name, which is great.
Great. Number 4, Oracle Arena, the Warriors' old arena. I still call their new arena Oracle Arena, and I don't know that it's Oracle in and of itself. I think it's everything that has happened at Oracle and how dynastic the Warriors have been and all the moments that have happened there, and that epic best basketball game ever, Game 7, Cavs Warriors in Oracle. So that had to make the list for me. Gillette Stadium, where the Pats play, number 3. It's as iconic as a name as it is those little antenna that you see on the side of the field when they got the camera angle. Do you know what I'm talking about? On the field, the painting on the field. Everything about Gillette is iconic. And of course, all the Brady, Patriots, Belichick moments that have happened there. Number 2, I put Heinz Field. We just talked about that. I think that's incredibly iconic. And there's been some big moments there too. And, Big Ben is a legend, so he played there forever. They won a Super Bowl during the time. And number 1, I think far and away, I think this is in another category in and of itself, and unfortunately is renamed now the Staples Center. Yeah, I don't think any arena in all of pro sports is more iconic than the Staples Center. And having we went there in December, and to not see the Staples Center up top, but to see Crypto.com Arena, it just didn't sit as right. Even as a crypto guy, it did not sit as right with me. It's a sign that the times are changing, and it's a tough look that you gotta. It's weird because it's new. It's going to become the norm in a couple of years, and people are not going to remember Staples Center for what it is. I mean, the Lakers, they when we were growing up, they were in the Great Western Forum, which is also an iconic name, just perfect. And then going to Staples Center, I don't know if in a situation like that you can one up yourself, but I feel like they did because Staples is so iconic. You got a handful of championships. You got Kobe's 60-point retirement game. Bunch of other monster situations that have occurred at that arena. I feel like everybody knows Staples Center, right? Like you just know that it's one of those things the name of.
Yeah, and it's the Lakers and Clippers. Now it's like it's crypto.com. Like it's too many syllables. Staples is so you don't even have to say center. You just say Staples. You know what you're talking about. You're not going to the office supply store. You're going to a Lakers game. But to say crypto.com Arena, it's like you're wasting 5 extra seconds that you don't need to. And it's people are not, honestly, good trivia question right now would be to just start naming the current names of different arenas and figuring out which teams play there. I bet you if me and you did that right now, we wouldn't get 50% combined.
I bet you I would. For basketball, I don't know about the other ones. Maybe I don't know.
Well, we could put odds on that. I say under 50%.
Maybe we'll do it live next time. So my top 5 no sponsors, just names of places. Number 5, I went with Augusta National, the golf course. I was going to go with St. Andrews, birth of golf, right? But I thought Augusta was more iconic to us, maybe, and it's more like here.
When you say Augusta, you know what you're talking about.
You know what you're
talking about.
Number 4, Wrigley Field for the Cubs out in Chicago. Again, another one.
Technically, Wrigley's a sponsor. I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that, but you don't think of it as that. You think of it as the mossy wall, right? And you think,
it's the confines.
It's the confines, and of course, It's where our hero Steve Bartman had his infamous mishap.
I wouldn't say our hero. I have no.
He's a hero to me.
ties
I
Steve
can't
Bartman.
believe. I love that happened, man. I mean, I hope he's well. Number 3, close to your heart, Lambeau Field, excuse me.
Yep.
Where the Packers play. Again, iconic based on look and based on name.
Yep.
Number 2, Fenway Park, of course, where the Red Sox play. Also iconic. And again, Yawkey Way right outside. That stadium's incredible. And then number 1, again, just as with Staples, I think it's tiers above the rest. Madison Square Garden in New York.
100%. 100%. Honorable mention, just because they're in the news right now, is Soldier Field with the Chicago Bears.
Okay. Yeah.
I read an article this week that they came out and said, or the owner or the GM has considered doming the stadium.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Well, take a look when you have a chance and read up on it, but it's an interesting, I don't know if that's going to help them because they have so many other issues in their organization as a football team.
Yeah.
But I think that takes away from the character of the Chicago Bears playing in that cold with that wind off Lake Michigan.
For sure.
That gives them that toughness, which they haven't had for a very long time. And this is coming from a resident Packers fan. I'm completely biased in this opinion, but I think a dome at that stadium would be an interesting move for sure.
Yeah, it would be interesting. It would help the Vikings. I'll tell you that. We'll see. Interesting. So some honorable mentions that we had, the Astrodome, the old Astrodome, and a lot of these aren't in operation anymore, but the Astrodome I think was a fantastic namesake. Petco Park. Am I crazy for putting Petco on there with the big sign out in the field that you could see? The old Candlestick Park where the Niners used to play, I think was pretty iconic. The Superdome, where the Saints play for a bunch of reasons. Kanye lived there, I think, for like a month too, which was pretty insane. Does Rucker Park count? You familiar with Rucker Park, where all the in New York, where all the NBA?
I actually just watched the basketball tournament game this week, and that regional was at Rucker Park, and that's iconic for
you should watch fan. There's a video. Durant rolls up to Rucker Park and he drops like 60 in a pickup game.
I've seen that video. It's absolutely
the atmosphere is incredible. And then my final honorable mention, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time, so the Heat just changed their arena name, right? To what's the crypto name that they picked? I don't know, FTX Arena. But there was a naming rights bid, right? And the porn site Bang Bros almost won. And I think that would have been hilarious if the Miami Heat played in a porn branded arena. I think that would have been so funny. It would have been like an instant classic arena. They were this close.
I mean, of all the places maybe outside of Vegas for that to occur, Miami's the
place,
option.
right? Yeah. James Harden would have been a Miami Heat by now if they had bought that stadium.
He would have been in the rafters before he retired. That's how good he would have been.
Some say his jersey's already retired in a couple places in Miami. That's a good segue. That's what we in the biz call a segue.
Atlanta too.
Atlanta too. Yeah, him and Lou Williams. Into the NBA recap from the season that was. Almost a great ending to the season for me as a C's fan, as an avid C's better, Tatum stan. They blew their shot at the championship. And you're going to argue the other end of this because you're a Warriors supporter. I'm a Celtics supporter. I think this is a great argument to have. The Celtics were, from January until whatever day Game 4 the final started, 10 notches better than the Warriors for 6 months. And they had them on the ropes, man. They were up. They had stole a game in Oracle, or not Oracle, but Oracle. And they went out there and they laid eggs 3 times in a row. They were even up 4 points with 3 minutes to go in Game 4. And if they go up 3-1, that series is done. They blew it. Tatum no-showed. Jaylen Brown played pretty well. Steph was great. The rest of that Warriors team is not great. And I can't believe that the Celtics blew a shot at winning that title.
I wouldn't say the rest of the Warriors team was not that great. I would argue the fact that Andrew Wiggins made his money during that playoff run, he became a superstar on that team. He played in the right system. Steph Curry, after years of saying that he couldn't win the MVP, it was the other guys that carried him in the finals. He couldn't step up in the big situations. Obviously, he had the monstrous game 4 in Boston. I think in this situation, it became a comparison of youth versus experience. The Celtics, if they can keep their core of Tatum, Brown, and everybody else around them, they're going to contend for a very long time. They're very young. But you ran into a situation where you had a very experienced team, maybe not their best team ever. But the Warriors had been in that situation before. And I think dealing with that adversity, understanding that they had lost a 3-1 series to the Cavs several years ago with almost that same core, basically, they understood what it had to take to get it done. And obviously it showed. It was a very surprise championship. I also think that a lot of people are going to say that this is a fluke. And I'm going to, in a segment shortly, make my futures pick for the NBA finals next year. And I don't want to foreshadow anything, but the Warriors could play a significant part in that scenario.
Yeah, so I'm going to play the other end of that spectrum. I don't think there's any shot that they could win the title or even win the West this year because they got worse and a lot of other teams got better. The Celtics are the finals favorite right now at plus 450. So we agree on that they are much like the Red Sox last year. They have arrived ahead of schedule to make it to the finals. And Luka also has arrived ahead of schedule as far as I can't believe he made it as far as he did last year, beating that great Phoenix team and everything he did on the way.
He needs one guy to win the West. He needs one guy.
Do you know who that guy? My opinion is the same. And do you know who that guy was? In my opinion, and it's off the table now
because we've actually never talked about this.
So there's two guys that I think would be a fantastic fit next to Luka in Dallas. Number one is Rudy Gobert, and now he's off the table, but he is everything that Luka needs as far as a elite defensive backstop, a center who does not need the ball because Luka's usage rate is incredibly high and it needs to stay that way, a defensive monster, and a pick and roll specialist. Luka in the pick and roll is so deliberate with his movements. If he had Rudy on the other side, who's a good lob threat, that's all he needs to be. So I think Rudy plays fantastic with Luka. And the other guy that I'm going to mention is Kyrie Irving. And I think Kyrie Irving next to Luka is another fantastic compliment. Now you got to get rid of Dinwiddie because he's repetitive and you don't really need him.
No, I think it's a different guy, quite frankly.
Okay. Who's your guy?
Anthony Davis.
Okay. I mean, similar to Rudy Gobert, as far as he's a good defensive backstop and he takes up a lot of space. I haven't seen, and it's my qualm with the Lakers, I haven't seen Anthony Davis make a jump shot since the bubble. And if he can't do that,
he doesn't have to.
He's not good enough in the post.
He doesn't have to with Luka in the pick and roll. Luka can hit the jump shots.
Well, you're right. You're right. But for Anthony Davis to be an effective scorer, he has to.
I don't think so.
I think
he could be a dominant force in the post. And if he runs pick and roll with Luka,
we've never seen it.
But I could imagine it.
When Anthony Davis was at his best,
it would be almost indefensible if they played to their strengths.
So I don't disagree with that. I think Rudy accomplishes the same thing, and I'm not a big Rudy supporter, but I think that fit there is great. My gist of not considering Anthony Davis was I was thinking like, okay, how the hell would he ever get to Dallas, right? There's no package that gets Anthony Davis to Dallas. I think there was a package that could get Rudy Gobert to Dallas, and
there might be a package, but it'd be like a 3-team deal.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And plus you got to pay Anthony Davis. Yeah. And I don't know.
I'm aware of that, but if Cuban has the money to do that, but if by some happenstance, LeBron wants Kyrie to come to LA, that would be the 3-team ordeal to get Davis to Dallas.
Well, then who do the Nets get in that situation? Westbrook and a pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
nobody wants Westbrook right now.
Yeah, but understood. But why would the Lakers do that? Why would they trade Anthony Davis for Kyrie Irving?
Because Kyrie's better.
I mean, he's different. I think
he's won a championship with LeBron.
Look, man, I want
non-COVID
Kyrie,
year.
I want Kyrie in Los Angeles.
A true championship.
They're all true championships.
No,
I want Kyrie.
No. That bubble championship, we all know, does not count. Does not count.
Well, I think that's entirely false. There's an asterisk by it, but an asterisk just means it's different. It doesn't mean it's any less or any more. The bubble
Barry Bonds has an asterisk next to 762 home runs. It's because he cheated.
That doesn't. So what? Everybody cheated.
Not
cheating saved baseball. There's your hot take for the night. Anyways, I want to get Kyrie Irving to Los Angeles. And this segues great into our next point, which is what we have to talk about with the NBA, the Durant and the Kyrie Irving news. I think Kevin Durant only requested a trade so that Kyrie Irving would get traded. I think they both end up in Brooklyn before the season. And they were 27-1 to win the title about a week and a half ago. They're down to like 16-1 right now. So somebody might know something, or the fact that they're just still there, right? Ayton signed his extension, which means the Suns are off the table for Durant. The possible Durant moves, all right, are the Pelicans, who can trade just a mountain of picks and Brandon Ingram. And I think that's a pretty good package. You could get probably 6 or 7 first-round picks plus Brandon Ingram, who a lot of people say is like KD light.
If that situation occurred, you got a triangle of Durant, CJ McCollum, and Zion.
Correct, which isn't bad. And it's a good, like, the Pelicans are close. And I think without Durant, they're going to be an 8 seed again this year. But with Durant, they might take the next step, because everybody's got a shot with Durant.
2 seed.
With Durant, maybe.
With Durant, they're a 2 seed.
That's one team that I think makes a whole lot of sense. The Pelicans said they don't want to do Durant at all, but I called BS on that one. Everybody should want a shot at Durant.
Of course. Number 2, one of the best players ever.
Of course. The second landing spot for Durant, other than the Pelicans, and now that the Suns are out, is the Heat, because he wants to go to the Heat. I don't see any package that gets Durant to the Heat that the Nets would take, because the package that's on the table, Bam can't go to the Nets because Simmons has the rookie extension and Bam has the rookie extension. You can't have 2 of those guys on the same team. So it can't be Bam. They're not going to trade Jimmy Butler.
Nope.
And I don't know that the Nets really care about Kyle Lowry. So the package is Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, probably Kyle Lowry, and then 3 or 4 picks. That's not enough for Kevin Durant.
Not at this point in his career. No, Kevin Durant is by far and away better than all of those guys combined.
That's 2 bench players and a washed up point guard for Kevin Durant, right?
Nothing.
That one doesn't get done. The deal that's very intriguing and is probably not going to happen, but is, to our previous point, Anthony Davis for Kevin Durant straight up. Why wouldn't the Lakers want to do that? Anthony Davis has played 40 games the past couple of years. Chaz was right about him. He can't stay on the court. I would much rather have Kevin Durant than Anthony Davis at this point in their career. The problem is,
I would tend to agree with you in that situation, but
the Lakers would never do that.
We all know who's controlling the Lakers right now, and his name is LBJ. And if he doesn't want Durant ain't coming.
Well, I think he wants Durant. I think he wants Kyrie more because he could keep AD. So the Westbrook and a pick for Harris and Kyrie is a much more attractive option if I'm the Lakers. So that's like the landscape of Durant trades right now. And then you have the Celtics rumors that are going around. Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, whoever else you want. Derek White.
He ain't going to Boston.
Well, it's not up to him.
He ain't going to Boston. I'll tell you right
it's
now.
Not up to him.
I don't want to waste the viewers' time. He ain't going to Boston.
I think they have the best package. They have the best package to offer him because of all the players that we've named. Jaylen Brown is the best one that you can get back.
I think Golden State has an arguably equally as enticing.
So they have a decent package, and it includes some mixture of Poole, Wiggins, Kuminga, or Wiseman. Yeah. Yep. So you get Poole, Wiggins, and a couple draft picks.
Yeah.
And then like 2 picks. I don't know that I want that I definitely don't want that if I'm Kevin Durant. And again, he doesn't have a say in it, but like,
hey, if Durant wants to win, that's the place to go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
they've done it before. Sure. They're older, but Steve Kerr is an absolute mastermind. He'll figure it out with the older staff.
Yeah. I don't think Steve Kerr is that good of a coach, man.
I mean, couple.
I think he's in the middle 10 of coaches in the league.
It takes a lot to win a championship, and he's done it 4 times with them.
Yeah, I think I could have coached. I could have gotten those Durant teams to the finals, man. That's the best team I've ever seen.
Mark Jackson couldn't get the Curry team to the finals before.
No, he didn't have Kevin Durant. Anyways,
but Steve Kerr didn't have Durant the first year they won it either. They had Harrison Barnes.
I understand, but that was a much matured team.
They didn't have Durant for 2 of the 4 titles.
I understand.
With a bum Klay Thompson.
Look,
James Wiseman didn't even play.
I got Warriors fans.
Jordan Poole and Gary Payton Jr. coming off the bench.
GP2 is the perfect Warrior, first of all, unfortunately, and I'm glad he's out of there. Steve Kerr, I have plenty of Warriors fans in my life, and they lament the fact that Steve Kerr is the coach in a lot of situations because I don't think he knows how to manage minutes. Now, personality, sure, because he won as a player, he knows the game, he won as a coach, whatever. Durant to Golden State makes a lot of sense. It's not going to happen. I don't think the Warriors are going to do it. Durant, who knows if he'd want to do it. The Celtics one makes a lot of sense because, again, even with the Warriors package, Jaylen Brown is better than all those guys. So it's the best individual player you're going to get back. But I don't know. We'll see where he goes. I think they're both Nets. We were going to talk some early 2023 reads, but I think it's probably too early to do that. So we'll get into the NBA reads maybe in the next show or a couple shows from now. Summer League is over, so now we can really reflect on that. But let's move to the NFL because the NFL is right around the corner. Feels like it's been forever. I love the football time of year. It's September's still a little hot, but you get into October, it's cooling down a little bit. You get some holidays coming up, right? I love that time of year. So we want to talk win totals as our first look at this NBA season. What I've done is I've screenshotted my best 5 that I have leans on for this season. And I'm not going to tell you which way I'm leaning.
That's fine.
But I'm going to tell you the number. You're going to tell me over under. And hopefully we agree because I feel pretty strongly about all 5 of these. You ready?
Let's let it roll. Here we go.
Arizona Cardinals, 8.5 wins.
Over.
Under. I think the Cards under 8.5 is one of my favorite bets this year.
Why?
Because Cliff Kingsbury, you want to talk about bad coaches. He's effing terrible. He doesn't know how to use Kyler Murray. DeAndre Hopkins is out. And I don't buy into Kyler is a great fantasy quarterback. I don't think he's a great real life quarterback. Okay. Are we going to see that James Conner season again? I don't know. Now 8.5 reflects this because 8.5 is low for them.
Okay, I'm gonna refute. I'm going to tell you why I'm picking over. Outside of the Rams, you got the Seahawks that are replacing the quarterback. Chris Carson just retired, medically retired. Mm-hmm. And you got a rookie going out of San Francisco. You have no idea not a rookie, a second year going out of San Francisco. You got 2 teams in your division that are probably going to be fighting for 500. You should split both of them with the experience of Kyler Murray and that depth of the team. They're going over. They're going to be a 10-win team by accident.
So let's go through this. Let's go through let's pull the Kornheiser. Look at the schedule. Game 1, Chiefs, loss. Game 2, Raiders in Oakland.
Loss.
I'm saying that's a loss. That's 0-2. Yep. Then they play the Rams, 0-3.
At home Panthers. Or away? Hold on. Go back to the Rams. Home or away?
It's home in Arizona. I can't imagine the Rams lose that one.
They're going to win that game.
All right, whatever. Give them 1. Panthers, that's 2 wins they could probably have. The Eagles, I think they lose. Still 2 wins.
3. That's 3 wins.
Seahawks, they'll beat. Saints, they'll lose to. Vikings, they'll lose to. Seahawks,
who's the Saints quarterback?
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, they're going to win that game.
Rams, Niners. See, Chargers, Patriots, Broncos, Bucks. That's 0-4 right there, man. I can't see them winning 9 games this year.
I'm taking the over.
All right. So we disagree on that.
I'm going against the majority. I'm taking the over.
We disagree on that one. All right. Next one, Baltimore Ravens, 10.5.
I'm going to say they get to 11, so I'm going to take the over on that one.
Over, baby. I love Baltimore Ravens this year, over 10.5. I might even like him at 12 wins. Lamar has proven himself to be a fantastic regular season quarterback.
I'm going to tell you why, and I don't want to foreshadow anything like I've said earlier, but they may be a future Super Bowl contender. But they were probably the most injured team in the league last year, and they were competing till probably within the last 2 weeks of a playoff spot. And with the dumpster fire of the Steelers and Browns in their own division, the only real competition is the Bengals, which is a very strange thing to say for that.
Their schedule is
AFC
tough
North.
as shit too. I don't know if you looked at it, but the Bengals schedule is
I haven't
toughest.
I haven't looked at any schedules, but Lamar Jackson's going into a contract year. I think he's gonna have a big year. If they can keep Mark Andrews healthy and they got their running backs back with who's it, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, if they have that crew running rampant, they're going to be right there. I think they're going to surprise some people, and they are in my eyes a Super Bowl sleeper out of the AFC. If you're looking for somebody to go off, the cuff, the Ravens would be somebody to consider for sure.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Lamar's a great quarterback. He's got to prove that he can do it in the playoffs, but he's like a couple 2-point conversions away from having more playoff wins. Like I think his playoff failure is not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. So we both like them over 10.5. All right, good. Miami Dolphins, 8.5. I'm going way under 8.5.
Over.
Way under 8.5.
Over. They're a playoff team. I'm
going to make a bigger statement. They're going to finish last in their division. The Jets are going to be better than the Dolphins.
No way.
Tua's not good. I'm off Tua. I'm way off.
He's got a wide receiver now. He's got two, actually. He's got two.
But he has to throw to them. I'm so far off Tua. I am so far on Mac Jones. I love Mac Jones. Him for most improved, him for MVP, whatever you want to take him. The Patriots are way better than them. The Bills are way better than them. I think the Jets could beat them twice. I love the Dolphins going under 8.5. All right, so we disagree. So far, we disagree on two of my best bets here.
I've got 3 overs right now. 3 overs.
They can't all go over.
Oh, they can. If it's your 5, they can.
Maybe. All right, Minnesota Vikings 9.5.
Under.
We're going to disagree again. I have the Vikings as one of my favorite teams this year as far as over 9.5 wins. The Cousins-Jefferson connection is going to be something this year.
8-8.
Dal Cook is 17 games.
8-8.
Big guy.
Kirk Cousins going to Kirk
17,
Cousins.
big guy. 9-8. Let's go.
Kirk 8-9 then. 8 wins.
This guy can't even get the amount of games right. What are you trusting him for? All right, I got the Vikings over 9.5.
Kirk Cousins going to Kirk Cousins. Dalvin Cook's going to get hurt like usual. And they're going to be a one-dimensional team. And they're going to be very, very easy to game plan against from a defensive standpoint.
All right.
Simple.
Well, we disagree on that one too.
Simple.
Last one, 5th lock of the year. Pittsburgh Steelers, 7.5. Yeah, I'm going under that one too. I'm a big Trubisky truther. I think he's good. I don't think Kenny Pickett plays a single snap this year, but I don't think they can get to 8 wins. They're just not good enough.
Kenny Pickett should play at some point this season.
I don't know, man. Trubisky's good. Like, I think he's all right.
Bold, hot take. Pittsburgh's going to be fighting for the number 1 pick in the draft next season.
They're going to be fighting hard with the Falcons and the Seahawks. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
All right. So we disagree on some of those win totals. We'll look into more. We'll do a couple more every episode and see where we land on them. We'll see if any of them move. Real quick, fantasy outlook. Is this the year to go 0 running back?
In my personal opinion, whenever I've been very good in the league, I've got 2 top tier running backs early in the draft. And I strategize my drafts that way, where I try to get 2 running backs and I'll look to get receivers down the road just based on depth. Typically receiver depth is deeper than running back depth from a successful standpoint and point standpoint in fantasy. However, this year might be a little bit different, and you got quarterbacks changing places. You got wide receivers changing places all over the place. There's going to be like Tyreek Hill has been a first round receiver for the last 3-4 years. He's in Miami now. He's going to be a second rounder, most likely. Nobody's going to take him round 1 with Tua. No, with Tua throwing to him.
We'll look up.
But I think from a standpoint where teams throw the ball more and they rely less on the running aspect of the game, you can afford, and with the way teams prep guys, like their top guys in training camp, not getting as much reps as they typically did, their tendency to get hurt from a running back standpoint has recently been skyrocketing. You may have a chance this year where if you go heavy on the wide receivers and you wait and draft the backups late for like the top tier running backs who you think are going to get a lot of yards, but teams tend to overuse and they'll get hurt early, a la the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an interesting year for that. So
it may be the play to go wide receiver early. And
Ty Hill's ADP is 18. His average draft position right now, and it's still kind of early for drafts, but it's 18. He's wide receiver 7 off the board. So the top picks right now, in terms of ADP, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp, the first wideout comes at 4. Then you get Henry, Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, Dal Cook, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Joe Mixon, and Steph Diggs in the first round. So there's your top 12. It's interesting that the wideouts are creeping up there. You get Cooper Kupp at 4. I don't remember the last time a wideout was taken at 4. Like you used to get Adams, and he would be the first one taken at like 6 probably, or 7.
And I don't want to, because I'm in a ton of fantasy leagues, but I don't want to throw a lot out there. But Robert Woods is no longer on the Rams. He's with Tennessee, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Cooper Kupp doesn't have that security blanket to like offset. I would not take Cooper Kupp at 4 if you're looking to win a fantasy championship.
I don't want to tip my hat. I might lean the other way on that. I like Cooper Kupp a lot this year. I don't even know where I'm picking, but also they got Allen Robinson. So, I mean, that's something to say for the Rams.
He's getting old.
I mean, Robert Woods didn't even play last year, and Cooper Kupp did just fine.
He did for half of the year.
I think Cooper Kupp did fine for the whole year there, big guy.
because they signed OBJ.
Well, now they have Allen Robinson, right? And Van Jefferson is better. I don't know. I think Kupp will be fine, but it's an interesting year. So those of you that don't know what zero RB is, it's not taking no running backs. It's loading your team with other skill positions. So you'd go like elite wide out, another wide out, tight end. You grab your skills, and then rounds like 6 through 10 or 12, you take like just a boatload of running backs. You hope 2 of them hit. You cycle them in and out based on schedule and everything like that. I usually disagree with it. This year might be the year. Again, I'm not tipping my hat. This year might be the year I'm into it. Real quick, 7 would you rathers for fantasy. Claypool or Christian Kirk? Chase Claypool or Christian Kirk?
I take Christian Kirk based on the quarterback situation.
I agree. Claypool, definitely a better athlete and football player. Christian Kirk, probably better situation.
Somebody's got to throw Claypool the ball, and you're not sure who that's going to be yet.
2 Giants, Kenny Golladay or Kadarius Toney?
I'll say Kadarius Toney.
So Tony's going about 25 spots ahead of Golladay in drafts right now. Golladay is going to get more snaps probably, but I would probably want Toney if I could get him too. The upside is gigantic with that guy.
Yep.
Quarterbacks, Patty Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
He's got to be the answer. Isn't that crazy, right?
He flipped him. Stephon Diggs is still his number 1 receiver, and Mahomes lost his number 1 in the offseason. I think it's pretty obvious.
Mahomes' number 1 was always Kelsey, though, if you're talking.
I don't know. Tyreek always put up big numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got to take Josh Allen.
I'm taking Allen this year for a bunch of other reasons over Mahomes, because Allen can also run the football.
Yeah.
And I think and not to foreshadow any future picks, but I think the Bills are better suited to contend for a Super Bowl this year than the Chiefs are.
Yeah, I think so too. So there's an interesting stat, just real quick. There's only 3 guys with 1,000 receiving yards in 6 of the last 7 years. Mike Evans is one because he has the streak of 1,000-yard seasons, right?
It's an outrageous streak.
Crazy. Travis Kelce is one. So 1,000 yards in 6 of 7 seasons, which is crazy.
Yep.
And the third guy, do you have any idea? There's like no way you'd get this. So I don't know why I'm asking you off the cuff here.
My first guess would have been Devontae, but
it's not Devontae Adams. Not it. It's Brandon Cooks, the great journeyman Brandon Cooks. So if you're looking for consistency, Apparently it's Brandon Cooks. Doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball.
Who's he with now?
He was a Texan last year. I think he's still a Texan this year.
He got 1,000 yards with the Texans.
6 of the last 7 seasons. Yeah. I mean, he was like, Price had him in our league last year. He was like wide out 4 for a while, man. He was putting up some numbers. All right. A couple more would you rathers. Tight ends, Kittle or Waller?
Waller.
Yeah. Kittle's getting drafted higher, and I'd almost rather Waller.
No,
Devontae Adams or Steph Diggs?
It's definitely Waller because he now has Devontae to offset him.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
that's a big difference. Big difference.
Devontae or Diggs? I'm taking Diggs because of the quarterback situation.
I'll say Devontae because he's got the college connection, but
all right.
Diggs.
I mean, I love him both.
Diggs came back to earth from his first year with Allen a little bit. I regretted taking him in my keeper league last year.
Yeah.
He didn't do what I think he was going to do, but Adams, I think, is just, I still think Adams is the best receiver in the league, regardless of who's throwing to him, just the way he runs routes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what he does this year.
Well, I think they're very comparable this year just because of
they're close. They're getting drafted around the same spot. Yeah. Diggs is going a little lower, but I think they're around the same. Running backs, Derrick Henry or Najee Harris?
Say Derrick Henry.
Okay. So let me change the question. Derrick Henry at pick 3 or Najee Harris at pick 10? As far as value.
I'd still probably take Derrick Henry at pick 3.
Okay.
I think with them.
So you look like an idiot either way, right? If you
with them moving on from AJ Brown going to Philly and Julio now in Tampa. The game plan is Tannehill to Henry and just let him run over everybody.
That's always been the game plan. And I mean, you look stupid either way. If you bet on Derrick Henry and it's finally the year that he decides to stop being incredible, you look like a fool because of course he was going to fall off. And if you fade Derrick Henry, like I have the last 6 years, I've looked like an idiot because every year he just churns out production. You know, he only played 7 games last year and he was 13th in most touches for the whole season.
It's outrageous.
It's incredible.
I mean, he's just going to get a run.
Last one off the board here. James Cook, who is Dal Cook's brother, or Alexander Madison. And James Cook is in Buffalo, if you did not know that.
I'm going to take Madison.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take Madison. I just wanted to throw James Cook in there as Dal Cook's brother, as I think he could take up some of that Buffalo backfield.
If you didn't reference that James Cook was with the Bills, I would have no idea who he was.
That's why I got 5 of these fantasy titles going for number 6. All right, enough about this fantasy. On to the reason you're all here, the Chalk Talk Super Bowl pick 2023. Last year, it was the Rams, and what a glorious ride that was to victory. The only team that I talked about all year, the only team we touted on this podcast is a Super Bowl winner. We didn't pick 20 teams like the rest of these people. We picked one team. It was the Rams at 15-1. They never got higher than 15-1 throughout the season, so we got the best value on them preseason, and they did it, man. They won. Glorious times. I was sitting right here reading that Rams epic poem. Oh, we're going to do it again this year. I'm going to have a new poem coming for you in mid-February. And it's going to be a little colder poem this year because instead of going out west with the nice weather and Englewood and the outdoor stadium, we're going to go just north of us here in Scranton, Pennsylvania, a couple-hour drive north to be exact. And we're going to break out the picnic tables and we're going to be jumping all over them.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes,
because our Super Bowl pick for this year is the one and only Buffalo Bills, led by Joshua Allen and Stephon Diggs, and that good defense that I know will stop the Chiefs in the last 13 seconds of a game this year if they come up to it. That's my team. It's not sexy like the Rams because the Bills are the favorite, and they're the favorite at plus 650, so you're still getting good odds, but they're the favorite for a reason. Josh is the best quarterback going. I say that confidently.
Agreed.
Him and Diggs are one of the best connections in the league.
Agreed.
They are incredibly well coached.
Agreed.
And their defense got better in the offseason.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And look, man, all I can see is them in that playoff game last year, having the Chiefs on their effing ass for 40 minutes of a championship game, right?
It's the best game. It was the best game. It's probably the best game I've ever seen
Oh, it was a fantastic football game.
Ever.
It was probably the best football game that I watched too. And I watched it start to finish, and it was so good. It was like when you watch a movie and you like have to look up like articles and stuff about it after because you want to stay in the moment. I was listening to these dudes on Twitter in the spaces talk about this game, and I just like couldn't go to bed. You're wired after that game. The Bills will win that game this year, and that's why I'm picking them to go.
Agreed, because the game's going to be in Buffalo because they're going to be the higher seed, and
likely,
in my opinion, they did the right move, getting a Super Bowl champion, multi-year champion in Von Miller, being the face of that defense, which is already good, to take them to great.
The Von Miller connection here.
You got probably
last year and this year.
You got probably the top quarterback in the league, arguably, based on weapons.
I don't even think it's arguable.
You could contend, but he's up there. He's up there for sure. You got Diggs, elite wide receiver. You're playing in Buffalo, and you've got the revenge factor where they felt like they should have won that game in Kansas City. Like Nobody deserved to lose that game. That's how good that game was. That's how good that game was. They're going to use that as motivation, and unfortunately, Vegas sees that as well. But if you want to jump out on them early, you may not get better odds than plus 650 or 700 where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Just based on the trajectory of the season.
You might, but I still think 650 is like a good spot. I'm comfortable with 650. If they're as good as we think they are.
To the point where I've already placed the bet at plus 650. It's July 27th. And I've already placed my futures on the Bills to win this. The Bills to win the Super Bowl, which is something Chris Berman has been wanting to say for years.
That's our chalk talk play, man. And
that's the play.
I think if they're as good as we think they are, you probably don't see much better than 7-1. If they suck, and if Josh Allen gets hurt, you're going to see higher odds, but we don't want them at that point anyway, right? I think 650 is pretty good value. I keep seeing in my head, and we talked about it on this show, like 2 days after that game, the image of Josh Allen sitting on a bench by himself after hanging 40 points on the Chiefs and watching his defense give up a 13-second field goal and not getting the ball back. And he's just sitting there looking like, what the fuck else do you want me to do? And he's going to do it again this year. He's going to do it again.
Honestly, from a competitive standpoint, that's all it takes is that one.
He's a gamer, and he's not afraid to go get it and run and get tough yardage. And he throws the ball a mile. I have no flaws with the Bills. They're in a similar boat to the Rams. Now, the Rams were more obvious to me last year. And I know it's not easy in hindsight because they won, but they were obvious to me all year. They went all in to win that Super Bowl last year and also this year. So like, they're not totally out of contention either, but the Bills to me feel like this year is their window to them, where last year was probably the start, the opening, the crack in the window. It's April and you're opening it for the first time. Now for the Bills, it's July and their window is all the way up, and it's going to be October and November for them soon. And it's going to start closing. So that's our pick. Ride with us all year. We're going to be betting them. I'm going to bet them like every week until I get enough money on them.
The ideal situation is they get off to a slow start and those odds kind of drop, and then you just hammer them. Absolutely hammer them. They start 2-2, 3-3. They're going to go. Well,
so they start off against the Rams on a Thursday night game, which that's going to be a great game. I cannot wait for that one.
Is it in obviously it's in LA because of the defending Super Bowl champs, right?
Yeah, it's in LA, and I think the Rams are -1, so it's basically
perfect. Take the Bills plus the point. Actually, take the Bills money line in the game one. Take them.
It's a pick 'em game, yeah. So they start Rams tough.
Do I want to say lock of the year? Week 1, night 1. I don't know.
Let's wait till September to make that pick. You already lost your lock of the year in like January 5th.
That's also very true.
So the Bills schedule Rams, but then they go Titans, Dolphins. That's 2 wins. Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs, Packers, Jets, Vikings, Browns. Their schedule's like moderate. I think mid-year they're going to run into a good stretch of games. So yeah, we might see 700, we might see 750, but these odds for the Super Bowl is like the favorites. They don't change much throughout the year because even if the Bills are like 4-3, they're still probably winning the division, right? And they're still probably getting to the playoffs. So the favorites odds don't change much.
Yep, I agree. They're winning that division at worst 11-6.
Yeah, probably. So speaking of the Bills' schedule and the Bills' wins, I got one parlay I want to throw at you real quick. And I know we're short on time, so I'm going to keep this real quick.
Yeah, we got all the time in the world.
2 teams to get 10 or more wins. So both these teams over 9.5 this year. Bills, Chiefs. What's the odds?
For the two of them?
Just the two of them. 10 or more wins.
Plus 550.
Oh, wow. Okay, so never mind. This isn't as good of a bet as I thought it was. It's minus 110.
Oh.
If it was plus 550, I think I would mortgage my house on it. But for both of them to get 10 wins at a normal payout, I think that's a pretty good block.
Yeah, I'm a couple whiskeys in. I'm probably not thinking straight. That makes more sense based on how good both those teams are.
Well, because both their win totals are 11, and I think the Chiefs are 10.5. The Bills are probably 11 or 11.5. So to get a discount on, like, for both of those teams to go 10-7, I love that bet at like a straight minus 110 vig. I love that.
I mean, I'd at that point almost put a let's go to the
let's sit on it, but I'm going to give that out to the listeners right now.
The problem I see with that would be the Chiefs. And I'm going to tell you why. Their division got significantly better over the offseason across the board from bottom to top. You got Russell Wilson now in Denver quarterbacking. Huge upgrade from Drew Lock. Devontae Adams is now Derek Carr's number 1 target in LA or Vegas, excuse me. They got better. The Chargers are the trendy pick with Herbert and the young squad that they really haven't done much, but they still have that core team that nearly made the playoffs last year. It's not going to be as easy with Patrick Mahomes losing arguably his number 1 target to Miami. That would be the detriment to that bet of not achieving. Just because
it could be
what Kansas City lost versus what others in his division gained that he has to play twice.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I think they'll go 10-7. I like that bet. I'm going to pitch that to the listeners right now. Anybody who's got a couple bucks in their local MGM account or Unibet account, go out and put that parlay down. You'll thank me in 6 to 9 months. All right. We're going to wrap up real quick with a couple minutes of college football. We are 5 weeks away from week 0. Burke's going to give us the rundown. I have no college football input as of yet. I'll do my homework a little bit this year. Burke, real quick, you got a Heisman future.
I do. I got two actually.
3 favorite teams that you like and some long shots, and then some commentary on the general movement of college football.
Yeah. So right now there is it's based on recruiting over the last couple of years. It is a 3-team show right now in college football. Anybody breaks into that party would be a surprise this year. And those teams are Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. Just based on track record the last couple of years, what they have coming back as teams, they are far and away the top 3 teams in the country. There should be no debate there. It's just a matter of who's ranked where in the 1 through 3. And it's literally 1 through 3 up here, and then 4 through 130. If I had a bigger screen, I would lower my arms right now. But that's just the gap of what it is right now. But due to the transfer portal, due to coaching changes, there are some intriguing long shots that you could definitely look at. And I'm looking at 4 right now. One being Clemson at plus 800. Obviously they had a down year, but their down year last year was 10-2. They didn't win the ACC. They're returning their starting quarterback after a year of experience in a weak conference. They're still recruiting 5 stars. They are as deep as any team in the country, and Dabo Sweeney, who is their head coach, loves the underdog role. And now they are truly an underdog compared to those 3 other teams. And that could play to their benefit. Team number 2, the USC Trojans, who I absolutely despise. I just absolutely hate them. I don't know what it is. It's just ingrained in me. But they have a new coach who they pulled from Oklahoma in Lincoln Riley. They pulled Oklahoma's freshman stud quarterback from Oklahoma, who is now going to be their starting quarterback, and Caleb Williams. They got a ton of recruits coming in, a ton of transfers coming in a subpar Pac-12 conference. They can easily win the Pac-12, and Lincoln Riley has done nothing but win since he took over at Oklahoma. And he has the roster to do that. It's just a matter of if his players are going to be motivated to win. But I think they will. I think they will win the Pac-12, but we'll see what happens. It's a completely change of environment, and but if they find their way into the playoff, they could surprise some people, because Lincoln's been there before with Oklahoma, and he has the experience. Although he hasn't won yet in the playoff, he can do it with his quarterback year in their experience, and obviously it's going to be the same system, so he doesn't have to relearn anything. It's just the other guys on the USC Trojans that have to relearn it. The third team at plus 6,000, Notre Dame, bringing in a new head coach, but they're still recruiting like normal. The players love him. They've got a favorable schedule this year. Clemson, I think, is their toughest opponent. They also play USC at some point this year. I don't know if it's a home or away game yet. I haven't looked at the schedule lately, but if they run the table, they're going to be right there, and they're going to be in contention. And my fourth, which would be the longest shot of the longest shots, would be Utah. They won the Pac-12 last year. They are returning basically everybody. They've got a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback. They pushed Ohio State to the limit in the Rose Bowl until Ohio State started to utilize their weapons. They kept that game very close. And with them returning everybody, I think Utah would be the safest bet to get to the playoff and cause a ruckus in the college football landscape. From a Heisman standpoint, I am leaning toward a defensive player for the first time in almost 25 years to win the whole thing. This would be Will Anderson Jr. at Alabama, their linebacker. He finished 5th in the voting last year. Arguably, probably the best player in the nation this year. He should be, if he doesn't get hurt, the number 1 pick in the draft this upcoming season. They are absolutely loaded again. They're going to be the preseason number 1 team in the country. If they don't lose a game, and he does a little bit more than what he did last year, which was 17 plus sacks and 30 plus tackles for loss, he's going to have a very good chance to be the first defensive winner of the Heisman Trophy since Charles Woodson. When I placed the bet on him, he was at plus 4,000. He's since dropped to plus 3,000 in the past week. People are listening to him, and they're starting to place those bets on him, which are dropping his odds. So if you want to get on a guy quick, why not go with the best player, arguably the best player in the nation, bar none position. He would be the guy. If you don't want to go with the defending champ who's coming back and Bryce Young, you got CJ Stroud at Ohio State, who was a top 3 Heisman finalist last year. But where the money's at, take the linebacker. I think it's going to happen. I've already placed my money that it's going to happen.
I like it.
And then the other option would be the quarterback from Utah. If Cam Rising, he had a big year last year, led them to the Rose Bowl, nearly won the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. They're going to be better. If they win the Pac-12, he's going to have as good a shot as any. And the Heisman committee has not picked a repeat finalist. It's only happened once, and it happened 40, 50 years ago in the 1970s with Archie Griffin. They're not going to go with Bryce Young. He's got too much to compete with. I think Will Anderson's going to take votes from him. CJ Stroud, maybe, but I think I think they're going to stumble a little bit. So he's going to be out of contention. Utah, I think, can win the Pac-12 again. And Cam Rising being the quarterback on the top team in the Pac-12 would be significant. He's at plus 8,000 right now. So it's a great value bet to take him. And if he makes a run at it, you're going to be in good shape making a profit down the road come December when they vote on the Heisman Trophy winner.
There you go. Burke's got 2 picks, 41 and 81. Take them both. See what happens, right? You never know, I guess. 41 and 81, because it's so far out that the odds could change so significantly. Like, they have no idea who's going to win the Heisman now. So the odds really don't mean anything in terms of who's actually going to win. So you might as well take some good value. I don't hate it. I'll take that linebacker for you. I'll place a little solidarity bet.
You should do it. And then you should do it. You'll thank me come December.
If it doesn't win, I'll just send you an invoice for the bet. It's no problem. So
what else is new?
You want to wrap up with just a discussion on the movement. We've had some big movement in college football recently. UCLA and USC moved to the Big Ten, Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC. More movement coming. Yeah, sure. Why not? Probably, right?
Yeah, I think that the next big domino is Notre Dame, and they're currently outside of football. They're with the ACC. I think they're going to move out of the ACC. Probably not this year, but maybe next year, and move to the Big Ten. I think they're still negotiating their football deal with NBC for advertising rights. Once that gets settled, it's basically going to be a done deal. I think they still need another year to do that. But I think the Big Ten is going to take at least 2 more teams. In my humble opinion, I think it's going to be Notre Dame, and I think it's going to be Oregon out of the Pac-12. I believe the Pac-12 is going to disband completely, and they're going to be spreading into a combination of the Big 12, possibly the SEC. I know the ACC, their SEC teams the SEC conference is looking to pull ACC teams into the SEC. So this is slowly turning into a AFC, NFC, NFL comparison where it's going to be the Big Ten versus the SEC. It's all about money. Everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. It's all about advertising rights. It's all about TV deals. If you think it's completely different, you're naive to the situation. Yeah. The landscape of college football is changing, and the norm is going to be USC traveling to Piscataway, New Jersey to play Rutgers in a conference Big Ten game, which is an absolutely insane thing to say, but I don't know. It's different. It's new, but it's going to happen, and none of us can stop it. I'm kind of excited to see how it all plays out, but college football.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It looks different.
College football is going to be completely different. I think the next thing that's going to change once these teams move conferences is the college football playoff. I genuinely believe they're going to move to 12 teams within the next 5 years.
Yeah, they could. I mean, that's been the thing for a while.
It would be almost like a NFL playoff stance where the playoffs would last 4 weeks. Obviously, the top teams would get buys. They would host, and then you go to the associated bowl games to run the rest of the playoffs. But 12 teams, maybe even 16 teams would bring so much more money to college football that they can't say no. They just got to figure out how to make it work. And I think they're a couple of years away from doing that. And to all of our viewer benefits, we're going to enjoy some quality playoff football from a college standpoint. Players are getting paid right now. It's great. They deserve it. They make so much money for the schools. I have no problem with the NIL deals.
For sure.
It was something that's been a long time coming, and we'll see what happens. I can't wait. Some of
our viewers will experience quality college football games, and some of our viewers, like myself, will think that quality college football is a total oxymoron. So we'll see what happens. It would be nice if they had a college commissioner instead of all these individual conference commissioners who could figure something out. And
we all know the NCAA is run by an absolute. I don't want.
Yeah, it's a joke.
He's a mess of a human being. He shouldn't be in the role he is, and absolutely destroyed college athletics for what it should be.
Yeah, agreed. Well, that'll be an interesting thing to keep your eye out on. Play some of Burke's futures bets. You got a couple weeks to get in on that, but once the season starts, you never know where the odds are going to shift. So it's best to get in ahead of time. We had a couple card strategies. Let's save those for next time. Let's hop on those next time. We'll talk about some blackjack strategies. We hit some winners at the casino this weekend. Hopefully we both hit some more this weekend upcoming. So we appreciate everybody coming back. We had a jam-packed season 2, episode 1 for our great return. We should be back on our regular schedule now, so we will keep you guys updated. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and recently on Instagram as well. We'll be tweeting out those links for all of our followers. See you guys next week, same time, same place. And until then, let's go make some money.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.